So they said that he's a racist and that he hates black people. They also said that he's a fanatic for dictators like Adolf Hitler. They also say that he hates immigrants, and just like Joe Biden, he's unfit to save. They also say one more thing. They say he sends love letters to dictators like Kim Jong Un and Putin. But all of these are just lies spewed by the liberals. And despite all of it, if I could, I would still be voting for Donald Trump, but of course I will vote for him in my mind. I might be from Africa, but I believe the US elections affect the entire globe. Depending on who is in the White House, the economy, and even our societal values are impacted. I believe Donald Trump is the only candidate right now who can save America. And I think he's the right candidate who can save the world. This is going to be a short video, so please, before I dive right in, I have to remind you, please subscribe and like this video. Now, let me continue. Truth be said, I'm not only supporting Trump because Kamala Harris is a weak candidate. Of course she is, and she's probably one of the worst candidates I've ever seen.
Is there something you can point to in your life, political life, or in your life in the last 4 years that you think is a mistake that you have learned from?
I mean, I've made many mistakes, and they range from, if you've ever parented a child, you make lots of mistakes too. In my role as vice president, I mean, I've probably worked very hard at making sure that I am well versed on issues, and I think that is very important. It's a mistake not to be well versed on an issue and feel compelled to answer a question.
I'm supporting Trump because he's the only candidate who seems to have common sense. The only candidate in this race so far. Now, you are not just going to support a candidate just because you like them or something like that. This is politics. And you have to support someone because you relate or you agree with their policies. And Trump's policies are honestly spot on. I mean, he's against illegal immigration, for example, and that's literally common sense. What's the point of having borders if they're going to be ignored anyway? And then there's his stance on abortion. He's pro-life, and I resonate with that. Protecting life should obviously be a priority. Okay? A zygote is also a human being. Trump is also against the war machine. He is anti-war, which is exactly what the world needs right now. We're so devastated, we're so tired of hearing about wars everywhere. However, the Democrats and Kamala Harris herself seem to support the war industry. They encouraged Ukraine in 2022 to ignore diplomatic solutions before the war even escalated. That's why they have been sending munitions instead of actually trying to solve this conflict through diplomacy. However, Mr. Trump is very, very different. He is the only candidate openly calling for the end to this war. And actually, there is another thing that's misunderstood about Mr. Trump. His approach to foreign leaders who are deemed like enemies of the United States. Liberals mock him for being friendly with Kim, Putin, and Xi Jinping. They call it a weakness. Some try to spew fear across the American communities that he is going to be a dictator. But truth be said, he's not going there just because he wants to be a dictator. It's just because he is a peacemaker. Okay. When Trump took office in 2016, during the handovers, Obama actually warned him that North Korea was a major threat to the United States and that they were close to going to war with North Korea. But you know what Trump did? He went to Kim, opened a line of dialogue, and brought the tensions down. What was wrong with meeting him? Should he have gone straight to war instead? And take Russia. Take Russia, which actually invaded Ukraine in 2014 and took Crimea. Trump comes to power, builds a relationship with Putin, and manages to keep Russia at bay without any new conflicts throughout his term. What was wrong with that approach? Now, there are a lot of things to talk about, yeah. And I'm also going to talk about how the Democrats and their leadership of NATO have handled the Ukraine situation. They have held peace talks, supposedly, but in most of them, Russia was not included, the main party involved. How do we expect peace when they leave out the side they are trying to negotiate with? No wonder all those talks failed. But Trump's relationship with Putin actually makes sense, and it makes real diplomacy possible. Trump could open a genuine dialogue, and Putin actually respects him. Trump has the kind of influence that's needed to bring these two parties to the table and actually get things done. And that's why it has to be him. One of the biggest personal reasons that I am rooting for him is actually his stance against the woke agenda that's spreading globally. He has made it clear he doesn't believe in pronouns, he believes in two genders, and he is not bending to the social pressures that are being pushed by the liberals. Think about it. Why does it have to take a presidential candidate to stand up and say that there are only two genders? That's literally common sense. But here we are, in 2024. Trump is standing up against this. And this, to me as an African who is a conservative, it means a lot. Here in Africa, the majority of us believe in traditional values, and we see the LGBTQ agenda as something that doesn't align with our beliefs. But sadly, it's what the American Democrats, the so-called liberals who keep pushing this ideology across our continent in exchange for aid. When Trump was in office, things were very, very different. We weren't forced into accepting things that go against our values. The liberal government has tried to force us to legalize things that most of us hate. Why? This election, I believe, is high stakes. It's not just for America, it's for the whole globe. And if Trump wins, maybe he can actually undo the chaos, fight the wokeness, and bring back sanity to international relations. If you believe that we need Donald Trump back in the White House, please like this video, share it, and don't forget to subscribe for more.